Here's Johnny.
Well done.
Here's Steve.
Hi everybody, I'm Steve Mesple from Wildwood Guitars, and we have had a really amazing time with the great Mitch Holder here at Wildwood. The last couple of days, Mitch has been playing guitars and talking about his illustrious life in music. So big thanks to you, Mitch, for taking the time out and coming out and doing this. It's been amazing.
Been great for me.
Awesome. So one of the great things about Mitch is not just his musical career, but some of the wonderful stories that go along with it. He's led a very interesting life, I've come to find out. I was hoping maybe you could talk with our friends and fellow guitarists about how you got into guitar. What started the Mitch Holder career? When did you get your first guitar? Maybe you could share some of those stories with us. First guitar?
First guitar, I'll date myself going way back, Mickey Mouse Club.
Really?
Probably, there's only a few people that even remember that anymore. But anyway,
I can remember
they had
it,
a Mickey Mouse guitar. You remember the Mickey Mouse guitar?
With
it had
the
a
ears?
Crank, the ears, and it
my
had the
gosh.
crank.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was really my first guitar. But what happened, there was a kid in my school, in grammar school, who was singing folk songs and playing the guitar. And I didn't care about the singing part, but I liked the sound of the guitar. So I told my parents, I want to play the guitar. So my first guitar was a rented guitar. It was a Harmony Patricia. No, it was a Monterey, I think it was called. Yeah. Harmony Monterey. They rented from the music store. And probably the one word that would characterize that Harmony guitar was basically a truck.
My first guitar was a Harmony also.
Was it?
Early.
A lot of people, yeah.
Yeah, mine had 3 pickups and more knobs than you could imagine, kind of a semi-hollow body thing.
I remember those, yeah.
Virtually unplayable.
Single cutaway or double cutaway? Double cutaway, yeah. I remember those.
Yeah, it was
pretty impressive looking. Yeah.
Oh, it was in the era where you thought the more knobs that the guitar had, the better the instrument was.
Exactly.
Sadly, yes. So first guitar is a Harmony, and
first guitar was a Harmony, and then my father, I don't know where he found out about Gibson. Cause I didn't know a Gibson from a Fender, from Shinola, or anything else. He bought me an ES 125 thin body, 1 pickup, and so that was my first Gibson.
Great guitar.
And when I got that guitar, I was 8 when I started. By the time I got that guitar, maybe I was 10, somewhere around there. And it was enough of a difference from the Harmony that when I played it and the way it looked and the way I could tell the way it was constructed, I could tell, boy, this is real different.
Yeah.
This is real different. This is way better.
Even at 10, you could
Even
tell.
at 10, it was like, this is way better. I got it.
Yeah.
So I had that guitar for several years, and then, I was talking about this the other day. On the hang tags, it would say Gibson Incorporated, and at that time they weren't in Nashville, they were like they are now, they were in Kalamazoo, Michigan. It said Gibson Incorporated, Kalamazoo, Michigan. So I wanted to know, I wonder what else they make, so I got to get a catalog. So I put in a letter, please send me a catalog. Where do I send it? Gibson Incorporated, Kalamazoo, Michigan. I didn't know any better, so I put it in the mail. They got it, sent me a catalog.
That's great.
This was in 1962. Got this orange catalog with a headstock of an L5 on the cover, and I'm looking at this thing, oh, wow. I've never seen anything like this. So I flipped open the first page. They had a full page, Super 400, Florentine Cutaway, Sunburst. And I looked at that, and I went, holy smokes. I had no
idea they even made guitars like that. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. It just kind of took my breath away. Well, they really make something like that?
Yeah.
Then I went going through the rest of the catalog, and look at all this stuff.
Right.
And there's my guitar, you know, the ES-125T, that's in there.
Right.
The Birdland's in there, the 355's in there, 335, all these guitars, well, it was the SG at that point. So I aspired to get myself a 335. And I washed cars. My dad said, you can get whatever you want, but you got to buy it yourself.
Yeah.
Which I'm looking in hindsight, I'm glad he did that.
Great lesson.
Yeah, it was a good lesson.
Yeah.
So I washed cars. I washed cars every weekend. I washed cars wherever I could. I was dragging everybody off the street. Let me wash your car, please. And I eventually got enough money, and we went to the music store, and they had a brand new cherry red 61 dot neck 335 that'd been hanging on the wall for quite some time because this was 1962.
Right.
And I had enough money. I bought it. I was so excited. My mom was sitting in the car waiting for us. And this is in Santa Monica, California, busy area on a busy street, people all over the place, hustle and bustle. I'd run out with this case and I open it up on the street. My mom's going, oh my God. And I said, look, Mom, look what I bought.
Right.
You know, and it was just, I thought that was the best thing ever, was that guitar.
Probably was.
Yeah, well, yeah, at the time it was,
Yeah.
yeah. So that was my first foray into having a really professional grade instrument.
So were you taking lessons at this time?
Yes, I was taking lessons, and I'd taken lessons from a guy. I didn't really know anything about jazz when I had two influences. One was Duane Eddy, who did Rebel Rouser, and 40 Miles of Bad Road, and tunes like that. Duane and Link Ray.
Oh yeah.
Rumble.
Yep.
I loved Rumble.
Rumble, yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't Link supposedly the first guy to use overdrive or distortion? I think.
Whether he meant to or not.
I think he just meant he dimed an amp and
right.
Yeah.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
So that's what I was hearing in my head, and we got with a fellow named Bill Pellegrini. This guy was a jazz guy, and from day one, which I'm thankful to him, he put a book of notes in front of me.
So you started out reading.
Yeah, I started reading first day, first lesson. Here's the notes on this string right here, high string, E, F, G. That's what I needed to learn, the first lesson. Okay, I didn't do what you're told. I was 8 years old, you know. And then my father thought he was spending too much time on single string, reading, playing exercise books, and all he's hearing are single notes. Where's the chords?
Right.
So he decided to find another teacher. So I took from Bill Pellegrini for about a year and a half, somewhere around that. And then he found this other teacher, also in Santa Monica, California, Johnny Frisco. And Johnny Frisco turned out he was Italian, and he was into chords. He was into chord melody. He was into players like Johnny Smith. Yeah. Tony Mottola, yeah. And players like that who he introduced me to. And at the time, my first jazz hero was Barney Kessel. I heard Barney Kessel, actually Bill Pellegrini loaned me two. I was 8 years old. He loans me two, at the time, 10-inch LPs. One was Barney Kessel and one was Johnny Smith. An 8-year-old. I said, boy, if I was his age, I certainly wouldn't loan a kid my
prized
10-inch
possessions.
Anyway, I listened to both of them, and it was the fire in Barney's caught my ear. Johnny was real smooth, but I'm 8, and I want to hear some fire. Link Ray, and there's a little fire anyway. Barney got my ear. So I was into Barney, and Johnny was into Tony Mottola and Johnny Smith, so I got more into that. Excuse me, and he got me into chord melody, taught me harmony. So it was picking up from what my father thought was missing, and Johnny was a big inspiration. So he was my teacher up until the time that I got with Howard Roberts.
And how did you find Howard? How did Howard come into your life, or how did you come into his?
I didn't find Howard, actually. My dad got me with Howard. My dad, the way he would introduce me to players, Howard Roberts. Yeah, remember him, Howard Roberts. And if you don't remember who Howard, if you heard, Twilight Zone?
Yeah.
That was Howard. Anyway, he would bring me records, my dad. So first record, he would bring like a Segovia, Andre Segovia, classical guitarist. He brought me a couple of his records. So I got introduced that way. Carlos Montoya, flamenco, brought him one night. He said, here, listen to this. Okay. And I listened, then he brought me a Chet Atkins record.
Right.
Yeah, listen to this guy. Brought a couple of Chet Atkins albums. And then in 1966, he brought home an album called Whatever's Fair. It was a Howard Roberts record. And he said, listen to this guy. And I didn't know Howard's playing. I'd seen him in the Gibson catalog. He was in that 62 Gibson catalog. There was a picture of him in there. So I kind of sort of knew he existed, but I never heard his playing. So I listened to this album, and the first tune was The Shadow of Your Smile, which is a hit at that time. Everybody was playing it as a ballad. And Howard's coming out just swinging on this thing in a medium tempo, playing it like nobody else. And I'm like, wow. So I listened to the rest of the album, and my father comes back into the room. He says, what do you think of this? I said, God, this guy's fantastic. I had no idea.
Yeah.
He said, how would you like to take lessons from him? And I was like, what? I was
15 or 16?
Just turning, 16. And he said, and what had happened with my father was my father was a doctor. He had quite a few musician patients, one of whom was a violin player who was doing studio work in LA and knew that I was studying. And I knew I wanted to be a guitar player when I was about 12. By the time I was 12, I knew I wanted to do this. Right. I didn't know in what context, but I wanted to do it. So this violinist friend of my dad's patient said, you got to get Mitch with this great guitar player that I play with in the studios all the time, Howard Roberts. Got to get with him. So my dad goes out, gets the record, brings it home. Here, play this. Yeah.
How
and
special!
Set it up. How special is that? Yeah.
Some of us had parents who wanted us to do anything in life other than become a guitar player. So that's a great story. Yeah, true. That's wonderful that you had your dad supporting and going out and finding these people for you. Exactly. One of the things that's interesting is, as you tell this story, Mitch and I are of a similar age. There wasn't a thing called the internet back then. Right. And radio stations weren't playing a lot of great music in that era, So you had to go on this search to find who the great musicians were, who the great players were. I can remember trying to get into playing jazz guitar. There wasn't a book about great jazz guitar players. Right. And I would go to Tower Records and just go through the bins to find an album cover with somebody holding an archtop guitar. Exactly. So for me, it was Kenny Burrell or Howard Roberts. I bought Howard's, was it Color Him Funky? Color Him Funky, yeah. And there was another one, Howard Roberts is a dirty guitar player. HR is a dirty guitar player. Yeah, anything that had the word guitar that was in the jazz section, I went and got it. So great story. So you started studying with Howard Roberts? Well, not at first. The first meeting we had, this was great, and this is where I was introduced to studio work. Now he didn't know me from Adam. Okay, he told the violin player to tell my dad, have him meet me outside Universal 1:45 on a Tuesday afternoon, and I'll pick him up. I go, Universal, so. I'm out in front of Universal Studios. I don't know. I don't know. Well, he's going to drive up. How am I going to know it's him? Here comes this little red Porsche. And it's Howard? Little red Porsche drives up in front of me. Door flies open. And I knew what he looked like from the pictures. Right. He says, you're Mitch, yeah? I said, yeah? He said, hop in. Right? Well, I'll tell you what. Let's leave this segment right now. And we'll come back and learn more about you, you and Howard Roberts. All right. Thanks again, Mitch. Great, my pleasure.